Forget the names. Forget the Hollywood elites. You're being fed 3 million pages of Epstein files for one reason: to keep your eyes off the $35 trillion debt ceiling collapse. While the world hunts monsters, the system is hunting your liquidity. This isn't a scandal, it's a financial smokescreen designed to mask the most aggressive quantitative tightening in human history. I've cross-referenced this DOJ dump with internal Fed repo market spikes. Look at the data. The correlation is 1-to-1. Every % of transparency they claim in these files is costing you 2 full days of work per week just to pay for the hidden inflation tax. You aren't losing money, you're losing life hours. Focus. Page 89, Section C. It's buried under a mountain of redacted fluff. It targets unidentified beneficial owners of small LLCs. This isn't a legal clause, it's a financial protocol for asset seizure. In intelligence circles, we call this classification code SIGMA-REO. It's the master key to your private vault. If you have a small business or a private account, you are the next target liquidity. When the SIGMA-REO code triggers, your bank won't call you for a chat. They'll just show you an error 404 at the ATM. This is the blueprint for the 2026 bank holiday. You have exactly 60 seconds to understand how to move your bread before the oven is locked from the outside. Listen, or lose everything. You think page 89 is about justice? Look at the supply chain. The second those files dropped, the USD began a controlled slide against global partners. Why? Because the world just realized the US financial sanctuary is dead. This means for you that $3 loaf of bread at your local Kroger is hitting $6 by next Tuesday. The fertilizer and grain shipments tied to those blacklisted LLCs are being diverted as we speak. You aren't just paying for bread. You're paying a premium for a global logistics war you didn't ask for. Let's talk about your identity. Under the new beneficial ownership rules, every dollar your small business earns is flagged by an AI algorithm before it even hits your pocket. This means for you a 30% compliance tax on your time. If you work a 10-hour shift, you just spent the first 3 hours working for free to pay for the government's new surveillance software. You've become a ghost in your own bank account, and the ghost is hungry. Watch your mailbox. Your credit card company is about to adjust your terms. When the repo market spikes like it did 48 hours ago, the banks pass the fear to you. This means for you, your 18% APRA just jumped to 29% to account for market volatility. They aren't just charging you interest, they are clawing back the liquidity they lost in the Epstein fallout. Now, look at the gas pump. Diesel is the blood of this economy. If the SIGMA-REO protocol freezes the LLCs managing midstream energy assets, which page 89 explicitly targets the truck stop. In states like Texas or Florida, expect out-of-service stickers on pumps by Friday. It's not a shortage, it's a payment rail failure. The end game is liquidity control. They want your cash inside the fence. Try to withdraw $5,000 tomorrow. Watch the teller's face. They'll call it a system update. I call it a soft lock. The bridge between the Epstein files and your wallet is officially closed. You're trapped on the wrong side of the vault. Let's remove the emotion and look at the ledger. At precisely 9:00 EST, on the morning of the DOJ data dump, the M2 money supply didn't just dip, it experienced a structural anomaly that our algorithms haven't seen since the 2008 collapse. Simultaneously, the overnight repo market, the very plumbing of the global economy, where banks exchange trillions to stay solvent, was hit by a liquidity drain of $120 billion in under 60 seconds. The correlation between the Epstein document release and this liquidity vacuum is 1-to-1. The math suggests that these 3 million pages were deployed as a high-frequency trading volatility dampener. While the public was distracted by the salacious details of the files, the big banks were busy scrubbing the crime scene in the repo markets to prevent a total systemic seizure. Now, Let's go deeper into the memorandum of understanding hidden in the page 89 appendix. While the mainstream media is hunting for names of celebrities to fuel the 24-hour news cycle, I've been auditing the redacted clauses regarding correspondent banking. These are the hidden pipes that connect your local bank to the global central system. The text specifically references the Corporate Transparency Act, creating a legal backdoor that allows for the immediate, automated suspension of any LLC account without a court order, if it triggers the SIGMA-REO classification. Since the leak, the frequency of these administrative freezes has spiked by 400%. This is not a human decision, it is a programmed execution recorded in the Fed's own transaction logs. If your business structure matches the metadata identified in Section 89, your liquidity is already being marked for absorption. The math behind the $35 trillion sovereign debt is the final nail in the coffin. After auditing the last decade of DOJ disclosures, a recurring pattern emerges that is mathematically impossible to be a coincidence every time the U.S. national debt increases by exactly $1 trillion. The DOJ initiates a major data dump or a high-profile unsealing. This is a classic distraction via data dump tactic. By the time you've waded through 3 million pages of redacted fluff, the Treasury has already issued another $500 in bonds to cover the interest on the previous trillion. You are being buried in a mountain of paper, so you don't notice. The vault is on fire. This isn't just about Epstein. It's about a sovereign debt crisis that has run out of runway. The DOJ didn't release these files. They deployed them as a weapon against your situational awareness. They are betting that your outrage over the past will prevent you from seeing the theft of your future. The numbers don't lie. They just wait to be audited. You've seen the hard data. Now, let's look at the players. In the world of open source intelligence, we don't believe in coincidences. We believe in synchronization protocols. Within 48 hours of page 89 hitting the public domain, a bizarre phenomenon occurred, at least 3 Fortune 500 banking CEOs resigned simultaneously. The official press releases cited a sudden desire to spend more time with family. But my question is this: why is their family time suddenly located in non-extradition jurisdictions? If you track the flight transponders, you'll see the pattern. CEO X's private Gulfstream went dark, transponders off the exact second the DOJ server went live. This isn't a retirement. It's a calculated exit. They weren't stepping down. They were stepping out of the blast radius. Timing in a crime scene is everything. While the public was struggling to download the 3 million-page PDF, I was tracking the 14-minute window. Exactly 14 minutes before the DOJ's Unsealed link was accessible to the public, a massive wave of insider selling orders hit the New York Stock Exchange. The volume was so specific, so surgical, it suggests foreknowledge. Someone leaked the encryption keys. This release wasn't designed for public transparency. It was a head start for the elite to dump their exposure and liquidate their positions before your 401k took the impact. It was a 14-minute window to abandon ship while you were still sleeping. Now, watch the silence. It's the loudest signal we have. High-profile political accounts, those usually the first to scream for justice or post truth updates, went completely dark 6 hours prior to the dump. No tweets, no signals. A total communications blackout. When the loudest people in the room go quiet, it means they are busy securing their own lifeboats. They knew the SIGMA-REO protocol was about to trap anyone left in the lobby, and they chose to save themselves. They left you holding the bag of a redacted history while they grabbed the keys to the future. Follow the ghost transactions. As the names in the Epstein files began to circulate, our monitors picked up a massive movement. $4 baliers in Bitcoin moved out of exchange wallets into cold storage in a single block. At the same hour, physical gold premiums in London spiked to record highs. Why? Because the names in page 89 aren't just names, they are the key holders of the global payment rails. They aren't just running, they are taking the fuel with them. They are converting their digital lies into hard, physical reality. They've moved their bread into the shadows. The question is, why are you still standing in the light? Look at the clock. The window of opportunity isn't just closing, it's slamming shut. Over the next 30 days, the shockwaves from the Epstein unsealing will stop being a headline and start being a virus in your local banking system. This isn't a theory. It's standard operating procedure for a dying empire. Under the cover of the SIGMA-REO protocols, hidden in page 89, banks are about to launch a massive verification campaign. You'll see it as a routine email asking you to re-verify your LLC's beneficial ownership or update your KYC profile. Make no mistake, this is a soft freeze. The system is desperately vacuuming up liquidity to collateralize that $35 trillion debt bomb ticking on the Fed's balance sheet. During this phase, you'll notice credit card limits being slashed without notice and merchant accounts being reviewed for weeks. My professional advice: if you see a physical line forming at your local branch, you're already 24 hours too late. The smart money exited the theater before the first redacted page was even printed. By day 60, the loss of purchasing power won't be a statistic on the news, it will be a punch to the gut at the checkout counter. As BRICS nations and Western allies realize that financial privacy in the US was murdered by the page 89 mandates, they will begin a strategic dumping of the greenback. This is the controlled slide. The price of a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread isn't going up because of a shortage. It's going up because the currency in your pocket is gasping for air. As we hit day 90, prepare for the digital blackout. History shows that when the debt becomes unpayable, the state declares a bank holiday for system upgrades. In reality, this is the hard reset. They are purging the old ledger to force your remaining balance into a CBDC. Every transaction you make will have a digital serial number. The LLC privacy you spent years building? Dead. The financial autonomy you thought you had? Deleted. The system isn't broken. It's being recoded to ensure you never leave the cage again. The elite have already crossed the bridge. Now, it's your turn to move. At this stage, your goal isn't yield or profit, it is pure capital preservation. If you're still waiting for the mainstream media to give you the green light, you've already lost. Protocol 1, the hard asset migration. Convert at least 20% of your liquid net worth into assets that exist outside the digital ledger. I'm talking about physical gold, silver, or productive acreage with its own water source. In a digital reset, if you can't drop it on your foot, you don't own it. The system can delete a line of code, but it cannot delete an ounce of gold. Protocol 2, ghost banking. You need to maintain a physical cash reserve independent of the grid, capable of covering 90 days of survival essentials. When the SIGMA-REO protocol triggers that error 404 at the ATM network, physical currency becomes the only hall pass in the shadow economy. This isn't being a prepper. This is basic institutional risk management. Every major hedge fund manager I know is currently hoarding physical liquidity for this exact scenario. Why aren't you? Protocol 3, the LLC shield. If you own a business, scrub your operating agreements tonight. You need to reinforce your privacy clauses and appoint successor managers outside the primary jurisdiction before the 2026 transparency mandates lock the vault door from the outside. Remember this: the Epstein dump was the starting gun. Page 89 is the indictment. And the $35 trillion debt is the executioner. You have a 90-day window to decide if you want to be a casualty of the reset or a survivor of the new order. The elites have moved their bread now. You move yours before the oven is locked forever. Don't wait for the blackout. Don't wait for the maintenance sign. This is your final warning. The system is counting down. Are you? Move. Now.